welcome everyone to another episode of 50/50. This one's a bit of a special one because it is our first one with a guest, and what a special guest he is. He's not only one of the best riders on the planet, he's also a cracking photographer, and he likes seeing the world about as much as I do. And he's a mint guy, so I'm stoked to have him. Of course, we've got Tommy Dang.
Thank you for the kind words, Lewis.
Tommy Dang how's England going?
It has been awesome.
Yeah,
loving it as always.
How's your tea?
Oh, just addicted to it. Just absolute beauty.
How was your first dunk? More importantly,
He just dunked his first biscuit
that was
30
simply
seconds
amazing. I'm gonna have another one actually.
yeah,
Oh,
give
no,
us
he's
a
going
review
for
on
it
this
again.
one. Remember, timing's important.
Mississippi.
Out
I think
now,
you're good, bro. I think you're
go.
good because the tea's still hot.
Jesus, that was risky.
Enjoy that.
That was risky.
Out of 10, what are we saying?
10.
Jeez, big up Maryland sponsors.
Yes. Oh, mate, the amount of sponsors we're getting through this is mad. Endorsements left, right, and centre. Look at that, he lobbed it in his mouth. Then that was good. So it's worth mentioning that yesterday I asked Tommy about doing an interview, and he said yes, he'll do it as long as we supply the tea. And
That's right.
so, what's life been like, Tommy? What have you been up to?
Just been at home lately a lot.
Which is Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia.
Sweet.
Basically, I think it was like, trying to remember, 2018, I was on a trip for a whole year without going home. And then since then, I've just been at home a lot. Few trips here and there, but mainly just been working and just saving up money. And yeah, now I'm here in the UK.
And where were you on that trip?
So beforehand, I went to Japan.
For the hitch-scooting thing?
Yep, for the hitch-scooting
thing. By
thing.
the way, let's start with the hitch-scooting thing.
Yeah.
The hitch-scooting thing's fat. Like, what made you do that?
So first time was when I was in Iceland in September 2017.
When you first got a drone?
Yep,
I remember.
First got my drone up.
I remember I started seeing some crazy scenic shots around that time.
I wanted to just do hitchhike, and I just thought, you know what, I'll do it in Iceland because it's so remote and very beautiful with their landscape. And I was definitely naive because in Iceland the weather is really unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it was just awful. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this in Japan because it'll be a lot nicer. And it was just it was a different experience for sure.
So was the Iceland one like an unofficial hitch-scooting thing?
Yeah,
just
it
kind
was
of doing a bit of hitchhiking and riding.
So on the first day, actually, I got picked up by a nice couple from Poland, I believe.
Yeah.
They took me all the way down to South Iceland, and then on the way back is when I began riding my scooter for a bit and picking up rides with other tourist people. And then that just began the hitch scooting because I thought it was really fun just to ride around on the road and just see how far I can go in a day.
And what's your record for a day?
144 kilometers. So I don't know what that is
Nearly
in miles, but
90 miles, I think.
90 miles. Wow,
that's a long way.
The first time, right, was over like 1,100. What was the actual?
So the second trip, or the second time I did the hitch scooting, was in Japan, and that was now 2 years ago.
Okay.
And basically, I went over 1,000 kilometers in like the whole trip. And then this year, it was last year. This year, I went over 2,000 kilometers. So I doubled my amount.
That is mad.
And then, is there a 4,000 kilometer one?
I want to. I was actually aiming for 3K this year, but I was it was just too much because you really need to train your body to.
You need a very big country to do that as well.
Yeah, big country.
Not many countries are 4,000 kilometers long or 3,000 kilometers long.
I mean, Australia. That's one of the top places I want to do.
Dirt scoot through the outback in a straight line across the country.
Imagine it.
That would be crazy.
Imagine. So, what have you got in the 2020? What have you got planned? You got anything like that upcoming?
I'm gonna probably do it again in Japan. Every year I go there for cherry blossom season because it's simply beautiful for
it's all
photos.
The pink stuff, right?
Sorry?
It's all the pink stuff.
Yep, all the pink trees, very beautiful. But next year I'm not going to go as far as what I did this year because I want to experience the actual... Because I was meant to go North Island, but I didn't end up going. So next year, I'm going to go there and just start from there.
Yeah.
Because with riding, I've been like really motivated to ride. So doing that, it's a bit of a drag because it takes a fair while to do.
Yeah,
like, takes over a month, and without riding, it's just really.
It's a big commitment. In fact, this is an interesting thing because so I don't know how long it was, maybe a year ago or so, and I don't mean this in a dark way at all, but I thought you were riding less and less and just traveling more, right?
Yep.
And then you came back with like body varial airs
out
of nowhere, and now doing like 360
It
ones.
was the Still Exists video, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but I thought because a lot of people, I'm a little bit guilty. I also got hurt, but I started traveling and enjoyed doing that. And then when I stopped riding, I just kind of did that. So I kind of faded into both. It wasn't because of traveling that I stopped riding, but it was kind of, I just did that instead after I'd finished, right? And so I was wondering if you were doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was. Exactly doing the same thing.
But then you were just like, no, I'm gonna come back now, and I'm gonna do like front side and back side body, just ridiculous stuff. And every time I see you post something on Instagram, like everyone backs it, like everybody, like pro riders, everyone's just like, oh,
because
sick.
it's unique though.
Yeah, and it does his own
Always had
thing.
a style about it, which is sick.
Yeah, traveling just really brought out my photography side because seeing the world, really brought out my creativity of taking photos, as well as riding too. That was a bit of a turning point for me because with traveling, it did, with riding wise, it did made me not motivated to ride. It pushed me more towards traveling and taking photos, and then. I would say last year on my Japan trip, it was a turning point where I realized that I still have it, with riding. I want to, pursue that.
Yeah. This also explains your Instagram profile layout, I'm assuming.
And
right?
I started to do that layout because I thought, why not try and bring out what I love with photos, traveling, and scooters? Because there was just no way for me to share that because. At the time, I was sponsored and I had a fulfillment with posting a certain amount of times.
Yep.
And it was just really draining, especially
and that
social
probably
media.
took the fun out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Took out the fun out of it.
And actually, this is an interesting thing to go on to. So the Fasen thing, how do you pronounce it in Australia?
FASSEN. I believe FASSEN. What do you guys pronounce it here?
Fasen.
I
think it just differs.
I've
never really understood.
Really?
I've always said it with a little bit of
the way I
anxiety
pronounce
before.
it is just like fasten your seatbelt. That's
all right.
Okay,
Fine. Yeah.
that
Well,
makes
so
sense.
with
There we go.
Fasen, another thing that piqued everyone's interest, I think, was when you left / got kicked off.
/ kicked, right?
kicked off.
Fasen.
Yeah.
And
Seen
you
the
spoke
video.
about that on YouTube. I remember. I think 2017.
Yep.
So a couple of years ago. And you mentioned that this is how things really are in the industry, that kind of thing, right? So I kind of just want to go back over that briefly.
Yeah, of course.
And revisit it. It's like, so what actually happened?
So, as I mentioned, I was traveling a lot, and with that, my riding wasn't as it was when I began with Fasen. And basically, the owners, or like, there's actually two owners, sorry, Barry and Denny.
Yeah.
They noticed that, of course, because I was mainly focusing on traveling, not riding wise. But honestly, there was two sides of it. They just randomly sent me an email, like just out of the blue when I was in Iceland on that trip, and they just told me that I am no longer on the team, and they just kicked me off, no reason.
After how many years of representing? Easy, like
3
right?
years,
3
3 and a half years, yeah.
Because I remember, I remember the UK experience video, which again was, I think, a big thing for people.
Yeah, that was a turning point for me.
Yeah, that was 2013, and then your Welcome to Fasen was 2014.
Yep, that came out, I think, 6 months afterwards.
Right, so you get an email from Fasen saying you're off the team, like after a few years of killing it for him, and I think you're quite a well-known rider for him. And do you reply to that? Are you like, because they didn't give you a reason, do you just go, what the fuck are you talking about? Or do you go, why? What's the reason? Or did you respond to it?
I did not respond to it because it was just a blank, like, just a response of just saying,
just cut to the
you're
chase.
terminated. We've terminated your contract. Good luck in the future. And I was just thinking, how do I reply to that? Like, that's just.
Yeah.
So have you not spoken to them at all since they sent the email?
So I haven't spoken to the owners at all since then, but the manager, I'm trying to remember, the market manager in Australia I speak to a lot, who is Grant. He's a really good guy.
Sweet.
I speak to him a lot at the time of my sponsorship. I spoke to him a lot more compared to them. Honestly, there was the main thing with the sponsorship was just lack of communication with the owners.
Okay, yeah.
All
But
right.
did you enjoy representing them?
Oh
for that
yeah,
period of
definitely.
time?
Yeah, it was the best time of my life.
golden days for
Seriously,
you?
my golden age for
Yeah,
sure.
that's sick.
Just I would say at the end of the sponsor, it was a bit of lack
It
of
was just-
communication.
Okay, yeah.
And also with products too, because Envy and Fasen, they're owned by the same people.
Mhm.
If people don't know that, basically, honestly, they focus a lot more on the main brand, which is Envy.
Yeah.
Fasen's basically their sister brand.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
it
they're
was,
prioritizing that.
Yeah,
over-
it was more prioritized with Envy over to Fasen, which
Yeah.
was another main thing
Mhm.
about
and that happens though.
Yeah, definitely, it
With
happens
us,
with
yeah,
I think
business
brands and
side.
I think Blunt is an enormous company. Envy Blunt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt.
And right, what is the situation with the Blunt Envy name? Because I've heard a couple of things from this side of the pond, why it changed, and why we still call it Blunt. I think in Europe it's still Blunt.
I thought it, in UK's Envy.
Nope. When I was riding for them, it was Blunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've
You
always
wrote for
known
them?
it as Blunt. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Danny was
Yeah,
on.
that was
That's
like
some
my first
new
major
news.
sponsor. So with Keenan.
What?
Yeah,
Just
that's-
six two in the UK. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
mind blowing.
There's a sick team.
That's cool because I always thought Ken was the only UK rider.
He was initially, and then I sort of was given like a bit of a TM role, but
Yep.
because he was super young, his dad
Yeah,
was
he
basically
was
TMing anyway,
very young,
so it was real chill. But yeah, that was my first like major sponsor, and how I got to know a lot of people. So it was pretty dope.
That's
I had
cool.
like a scooter that was a bit like tomato and lettuce looking, green, red, and Brendan Smith bars back in the day. I mean, it was, you know what I mean, it was tiny, but it was sick, man. The ace of
Nice.
spades and all that.
Do you remember when like you started getting coloured scooter parts in the market, and everyone was just like, "Yeah, sick colours,"
Yeah.
and just orange, pink, yellow,
Some
just
disgusting
random-
customs were just happy.
because
yeah,
it was just so sick. There was now a green scooter part.
I used to spray the JD Bug though.
Yeah, I used to spray mine like every week.
Yeah, just to match the yak
Yeah.
wheels.
Go
I
to
think I
How
did mine
sick.
once. Wasn't
Nah.
really keen about painting it.
Now I'd go to Half. Like I started JD Bug from like 05 to
Yeah.
like 10 when I got on Razor,
Mm-hmm.
and I just almost like weekly or every 2 weeks, just like, I'll go get some fluorescent orange spray
I
paint.
would just lay a paint on top. My bars
Yeah.
were just growing like diameter.
I really
but-
enjoyed doing it. Like, you know, you sand it down, you
Well, I sanded it initially,
what's the
then sprayed on top.
primer it, and then you
Mhm.
spray it properly. It's mint, and after a few times, you're like, I'll just do it on top then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
And-
just layers of
yeah.
different paint.
Yeah. So
Those were the days.
you scratch the paint, and it just orange comes through, just out of nowhere. Yeah.
So tacky.
Yeah. And so the UK experience video, was that your first time in the UK?
Yes, that was my first time with Chris Trainer and Jesse Bays. If people don't know who they are, Chris Trainer actually owns Figs,
Yeah,
which
my
is
man.
Sick. Yeah.
which is really cool. And then everyone knows who Jesse Bays is.
Of course.
Sponsored by Apex,
Also
yeah.
my guy.
That's sick.
the
Yeah.
homies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first time, which was really sick.
And it was it for Scoot Fest?
Yep, it was
The
the
second
ISA
Scoot Fest.
Worlds 2013, the second year.
Yeah.
So that was still at Stoneleigh, right?
Yeah, it was the big
I don't know
festival.
where it was, but it was really cool. It was
It
just
was
in the
the
middle of
camping one.
nowhere.
Oh, yeah,
was the
Stoneleigh.
camping
The first
one.
two Scoot
Yeah, that
Fests
was
were the
sick.
best Scoot Fest, man, because it was an actual festival.
Yeah,
and
it was
rude, so dope.
Crazy.
Rudimental.
Rudimental
Was it
chasing
what-
status.
Yeah, Chase. No, I think only Chase turned up, or Status.
No, yeah,
only one of them
just
came.
One of them came,
So it was
but
Chase.
it was still weird and wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mad.
At a scooter event.
The whole thing was. I remember. I don't know if I should go into detail with this, but I remember when, who picked up? Oh no, it was Rob picked up JD Ben, just on
Yeah.
his shoulders,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
and then just didn't know what to do with him
No, yeah.
because everyone thought they were going to fight or something.
It was just awkward beef.
Yeah.
Also, the same time when that Corey Waitman had his scooter robbed and terrorized, right?
That was
Oh,
X
I
Fest.
heard
I
about
think.
Oh no, that was X Fest. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another.
Imagine how grim were scooters back then. Just everyone just like. I mean, it was all in
everyone
good.
was just young
It was
and
all in
full of
good fun,
testosterone.
but yeah, everyone was just like,
One of them ones.
yeah. No, it was a good time.
Sick,
That Scoot Fest was sick though.
Yeah, it was. Good
Um,
times.
Yeah, and then it's a shame it didn't carry on. I think the reason it doesn't carry on is because it just got like destroyed. That whole
Yeah, I heard
place.
like
Yeah.
people were destroying the like rooms because it was like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all the scooter riders were staying there and people were
Yeah.
just destroying the rooms.
Yeah, everyone lost their heads a bit because they were just so gassed that like
yeah.
we had like sort of come this
Yeah.
far, and there was an actual event
Yeah.
specifically for scooters. So
and I think the first 2 years obviously was sick, and then I think the third year the
Was that Rush?
Well, I mean, the third year when they were going to do it at the same place.
Oh, okay.
I think the guys who own the place were just like, yeah, you can do it again, but it's now triple the price because you're all fucking reprobates.
Yeah.
And they were like,
valid point as well.
and they lost money on the first two anyway. The people that ran it, so it was. I mean, they did it because it was sick, but
it
wasn't sick enough that they were going to dig into billions of pounds to put on an event for some guys to go and stab a room. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So
straightforward.
But yeah, no, it was sick. And I remember, there was like a campaign to get you over here. Like, was it like a GoFundMe thing or something? I remember there was a big deal about you trying to get over to Scootfest.
It was the year before because it wasn't a GoFundMe, but the year before I actually got a last minute invite. To the first ever ISA Worlds, and I just unfortunately couldn't go because of funds. But for the one I went to, it was more of a spontaneous trip because Max Peters just told me to go over, and I was like, you know what, might as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because at the time I was judging the nationals for our ASA. Well, at the time it was called ISA, but nowadays it's called ASA.
Yeah.
And I just went over there and realized there was a last-minute wildcard event on the day of the weekend, and just somehow came first.
Because you were sponsorless at the time.
Yeah, I was not sponsored.
And then, so that would have been just before the UK Experience video came out. Is that right?
No, it was during that time I was filming the UK.
Yeah,
Experience.
so the video came out after Scootfest.
Yeah, after Scootfest.
And then, in fact, I revisited that video recently, and there's a lot of people on there that at the time were just like, Fasen, just open your eyes, just sponsor Tommy. Like, how is he not on the team or something? And then just after you're on the team, and it was kind of sick to see because it was like it started with like a self-funded trip, I suppose, and then you come over because you wanted to. You rode really well in the contest, if I remember rightly.
I believe it was a Saturday. I did the wildcard event, got first, and then did the semi-finals because it was on the same day, and then managed to qualify 12th with Robbie Menzies.
That's
and then
sick.
The day after I placed 11th. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's sick though. And then from that you made a video from it which caught on really well and is on many views, as it should be because it was a sick video. And then you got on Fasen. It was all like all kind of your own doing, and that's pretty cool.
A lot of hard work and dedication. Funny thing too, actually, at the time they actually offered for me to be on Blunt over here, Envy in Australia, and I said no because I wanted to be on Fasen. It's like, why wouldn't you put me on Fasen? And I believe it was like a few weeks later I received a call actually from Grant telling me that I got on. And basically, the video I was actually working on, my welcome edit, was actually just a web edit. And I decided to put it as a welcome edit. So most of the clips were actually just already pre-filmed. There was like a few that I filmed during the time when I was on Fasen.
Yeah, but you were writing the parts anyway.
Yeah, I was already writing the parts, so it was just perfect timing.
So that all happened, and that was sick. And then what changed for you, like mentally, like the way you looked at scooters and stuff in general, when you stopped then riding for a brand? Like you kicked off Fasen, you didn't immediately go, oh, who can I ride for next or anything? What was the process? Because you've still not got a major sponsor, like a hardware sponsor.
That's right. I still have a minor sponsor. I'm on the pro team of the Scooter Farm. It's just a shop sponsor, but it's not a main sponsor. I don't know. Just when I got kicked off, I just really looked at riding again. Just why am I doing this? Like, should I still ride? And I just realized that the reason why I rode, because, just riding with the homies, having fun, trying to learn new tricks.
Yeah, of course.
So that really brought out my motivation into riding again.
So do you think you lacked motivation?
Yeah, that was the main thing. As I said, there was just a lack of communication and new products coming out from the brand itself, Fasen. As at the time, there wasn't really focusing on it.
So it felt like a bit of a side project. You didn't feel like the main focus
exactly. It didn't feel like they were considering us riders and the brand itself. As a few months later, Brendan Smith left the team. The way it started, Fasen was rider owned, which Brendan and the owner co-owned this brand, and then it just slowly, just didn't really
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
start
And
out
that's
the way I was.
That's
Yeah.
like draining in itself, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Sometimes after an email like that, it's nice to take a bit of a back seat and just be like, right, let's remind myself how scooters used to be.
Exactly.
And obviously, you got all the choice of parts again.
Yeah,
That
no-
too,
The freedom of
more
traveling,
freedom.
seeing the world, and that's
and
good,
no
man.
responsibility as well.
And responsibility, yeah,
'cause
that
of
was a big
course.
thing too, as it was more considered as a job than as a hobby, which
Yeah.
it's hard to balance out because,
course.
of course, you need to somehow make money.
Yeah.
As I'm in my adult age.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got on, when I was on district, I got put on the pro team quite quick. I never thought I was going to get the pro team. I still don't think I should have been. I think I winged it and it happened. But like that was a case where I was never like pissed off that it was a job or anything like that. I quite liked it because if you felt lazy for a week, you'd kind of be like, no, I should go and do something.
Exactly,
like I'm getting
yeah.
paid for this, and I thought that was a good thing. But I can see why it's not always like that for pro riders and stuff when they feel like they have to ride to make up numbers and stuff like that. But it must be nice to just have no responsibility and do what you want, basically. Ride when you want. Don't want to ride for 3 weeks, don't ride for 3 weeks. Right. But I think as well as to become a professional rider, I think a lot of people are like, they say they want it, but I think it's more than just riding a scooter when you start riding for a salary for a pro team. And I think like a lot of kids are like, oh yeah, I'd love to be a pro rider, and then they just think you just keep riding like normal, but there's a lot more
to it. Yeah.
there's a lot more to it, and it's a different attitude and a lot of things. I mean, it's another deep subject, but I don't know, I just reckon it's different for a lot of people being sponsored by on a pro team with responsibilities, with numbers to reach, with stuff
Same
like
with
that.
contracts though, and the paper clips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was
Definitely
yours like
too.
intense or anything like that? Did you have a lot of freedom whilst riding for them, or was it like
Not
you gotta do
really,
X
it
amount of
was-
clips and
It was more like you had to do a certain amount,
Mhm.
especially with social media, of course, as at the time it was growing. So yeah, with that, it was just really...
So it felt more like a chore, basically.
Yeah, it felt more like a chore.
And obviously,
And at the
Sundays-
time too, I was young, so
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just... it was just not a great time.
Okay.
Did you not enjoy that though? Because you were like, oh shit, I'm part of a company, I'm helping market.
Yeah,
Like,
that too,
you were doing a good thing. You were getting paid you had to reach certain numbers, like in any job in the world. But still, you were doing it through something you enjoyed doing. Surely it didn't take away all the enjoyment from riding.
The first 2 years was just like that. I was really enjoying it, motivated, promoting it heaps because it was just like, oh, I'm
That's what you
sponsored
wanted to
now.
do. That was the
that's
dream.
what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, I don't know, just slowly as the year went on, and then with the company not really focusing, it kind of...
It just sucks the
Back
fun
like-
out of it, right?
Yeah, it just like, if I'm doing this amount, why I'm not getting it back?
Yeah.
Like, obviously I'm getting it back with a salary, but it wasn't coming back from the actual brand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, I understand it. You got to feel like
Yeah.
a part of the machine, right? You're not just
Yeah,
doing stuff on a sideline. You want to be a part of it. I
exactly.
guess. Whether it's paid or not, it's nice to feel important, right? And I think everyone can agree that you were quite important to Fasen. It's a shame that it happened like that because I'm sure there's a good reason on their part.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
I totally understand their side of it, of course. As the year went on, I realized that it was a good reason they did that, and I'm glad they did that actually.
Yeah.
The only downside that I would say is just that I never got to release my SIG deck.
I
that was the
remember.
only downside.
I remember.
Sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
In
that
the
video.
falling out. As at the time I was testing out my SIG deck, still trying to work out the color scheme, as there was a bit of issues with the color I wanted.
Yep.
As what I wanted was a silver deck, just like the color JD Bug, like that like apple silver,
Yeah.
Sick.
with lightning on it. That was the
Pang.
concept of my deck,
Yep.
with my graphic on the bottom, which was inspired by Naruto.
Oh, sick.
which
Was it
worked
something
out
you
per-
designed, by the way?
It was
Or like a
designed
friend
by
or-
this guy named Lovell Art. That's his Instagram.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He
yeah.
did a Max Peters graphic on
Yep.
his AOS V4.
Yep.
It turned out really awesome. Like, it was simply beautiful, and it really sucks that it never got to be released
course,
because
yeah, yeah.
that art was just never
But
used.
Do you have a sample of it at home?
I have two of them. One in silver, with my original color, and one in black,
Wrapped in bubble wrap in a safe.
Yeah, innit?
yes. I've been starting to collect vintage scooter parts, so I actually got Brendan Smith's SIG deck that never got released.
That's sick.
And then I hit up Jacob Dorezzo. I
Yeah.
believe that's how he how you pronounce his last name. He's got two apparently, and I asked for one, and he said he was going to send it to me. So
That's dope.
basically, I'm going
That'd
to
be
have
sick.
3 prototype ones, which would be really cool.
Tommy Dang Scooter Museum.
I rate that. Yeah. How are you finding all the parts? Is it
Just
like
randomly, like
through homies or through like
from
online
homies
and-
like Matty Chiravolo, Max Peters. They all have a lot of like vintage
Okay, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
from being sponsored.
just digging out stuff from the shed?
Yeah,
Just-
digging out of the
yeah,
shed.
yeah.
Old shops. So in Melbourne, there's a lot of like old school shops that used to sell scooter parts, but nowadays they just not focusing
Oh,
on that
okay,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not big.
So they got like dead stock, or at
dead
least
stock.
they think it's dead stock. But to you, that's part of the
To us,
museum.
it's, vintage
Yeah, I
stuff.
rate that.
There's this shop called Blade Tool. It's owned by some dude, like someone's house in
Yep.
St Kilda in the city, and he's got OG Eagle wheels, like sperm wheels, the Cody wheels,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the original like the core, the
Yeah.
silver one, I think,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all the different colors.
Yeah, I remember when I was on District and Eagle, and Brandon and I used to drive to the Eagle warehouse quite a lot because it's not that far from London to.
It's in Holland,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's not a long drive to be honest. You go.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, you go and get like the tunnel, and then you end up in Holland. It's like maybe 6-7 hours or something. It's crazy.
Wow.
So we used to go there like every few weeks almost, just turn up and just like stock up on shit. And I remember the first time I went there, I walked in, and there was just. Do you remember the Matt McKean Holotechs?
I had a pair.
the
Yep.
blue on
I
blue.
absolutely loved them. They were my favorite.
Arguably the best wheels of all time. Just
Definitely. The
'cause I
color
remember
scheme too.
Yeah, they were just sick. And I remember walking in, there was like rows of stuff, just huge car boxes full of wheels, and it was all labelled with like red on green 110. There was millions of them because Eagle were huge back then.
Yeah.
And there was one box that wasn't marked, and I was just like this little kid in a sweet shop. And I was like, hey, what's in this box? Like, I don't know, have a look. And I pulled this box down, and it was just full of Matt McKean SIG wheels, which by that point were already like out of stock everywhere. They were stopped being made for like 2 years.
Yep.
I don't even know if he was still on Eagle at that point. And
Probably not,
and I
I
was
think.
like, shit, can I have some? They were like, oh, yeah, I didn't know we had them.
That's mad.
And I was like,
What?
bollocks. So I took like 5 pairs, and I was like just cuddling them the whole
I'm
way. I
so
was like,
jealous.
But no, but there's so much shit there, and you'd go in, and there'd be like, so when it was addicts in the same place, they'd have like a LeBaron deck, but made like 22.5 long, which is way longer than the original one,
What?
and with a different color and stuff. And I was like, can I have it? And they're like, yeah, sure. And like wooden, I don't know if you remember the wooden grain bars that I posted on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to ride them for a bit. There was like wooden effect.
Oh, okay.
You'd walk in and get everything. They'd be like, yeah, fine, take it. I don't want it. It's just a sample. But yeah, anyway, it was sick. Like I still got them somewhere. Like there's weird bars and stuff. But it's cool that you're collecting them now.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, somewhere. I think
You gonna sort them out?
maybe in the skate.
Yeah,
in
sort
the
me out, mate.
skate park. Honestly, if I do find them, you can have them. You can
Oh,
have everything. you
Maybe
want.
2020, just open a museum.
Oh, that'd be so
Imagine
cool.
some dusty
Just have
yachts
a
and
full wall of just
No,
all
do you know what-
OG stuff.
Oh
Do
my-
you know what would be sick? Do you know when you have like a circus, like in the olden days,
Yeah.
and you'd have
Oh.
like have a horse trailer and have loads of shit in there,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yep.
caravans and stuff.
Yeah.
Hitch-scooting with a fat trailer.
Oh my god.
Right, just across the world, just ride and just stop in like little African villages. Like, hey guys, look at this scooter. Like, and then
Imagine this.
just the traveling 70,000 mile hitch scooting tour of the world.
That'd be so sick.
Just all these like
That's the dream.
that'd be fat. So just quickly to revisit the Blunt and Envy situation.
Hmm.
What is the reason? Why are there 2 different names?
So I don't know the exact story, but this is what I've been told. There's like a lot of stories about it. Basically, there's a skateboarding brand in Australia called Blunt. I believe it's Blunt Bearings or Blunt Skateboarding, and I believe they had issues with the name.
All right.
So basically, yeah, that was one of the reasons because of the brand, the skateboarding brand. There was another reason because the actual name Blunt, it's very like influenced with marijuana and
Yeah.
weird drugs and etc.
Yeah, of course.
That was another reason that I heard.
I heard those same things, exactly the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
I thought I would have been told the dramatized English version.
Oh, okay.
But no, it sounds about right, actually. If both of us from opposite sides of the world have heard the same story, it's
Yeah.
likely to be about right, I suppose.
But it's still called in Blunt in Europe, so I don't know why.
I guess I don't
The
know.
conflict.
Maybe they
Yeah.
had loads of boxes or loads of parts with blunt on it, and we're like, oh, we'll just ship
That
them off
too.
to Europe. Can't be
Yeah.
asked to repaint them.
Because there was a bit of a issue as when they converted the name. I think it was their first ever aftermarket decks. No, sorry, second, because there was the AOS V1, and then they had the Envy decks, which were just called Envy decks. They were a bit like a slimmer version or like slick design. And then I think like a few months later or 6 months, they did their first ever completes, which is nowadays is the Prodigy, which is their famous range.
And they are
sure.
quite good. Those they dominated the completes. game
Oh
for a long
yeah,
time.
no doubt. It's
Like-
unbelievable the amount of kids have Prodigies.
It makes you realise why they might have put that in the forefront rather than Fasen. Not that it's the right thing to do for the riders, but it makes you wonder, like, if they're shipping out that many completes all the time, and Fassen's this smaller brand, maybe that was why they paid less attention to it.
Yeah, they did try
It's
to do
hard-
the Raven completes.
Yeah, why did that not happen?
I don't know. I honestly I believe like the bars itself they weren't that great. Color scheme it was very plain and simple. Like kids didn't really approach to it because oil slick is a very popular color.
Yeah, of course.
Kids tend to go towards that one. But to be honest, they were actually nice completes. I didn't mind them, but I think they were a little bit too small because I believe they were 23 inches high, which is a very small complete for for kids up to 10 to 14.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a good scooter to start out for a little kid.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. And so, what's it like in Australia right now with the scooter? Because you work in Scooter Hut.
Yep. So,
Right, so
I've been working there as part time.
Danny and I are very much at the forefront of the absolute shitstorm that is the scooter industry at the minute in terms of sales and
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. We've experienced it violently firsthand.
Yeah. Probably well over a
but-
year now.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
not from a shop's point of view, because we've been on the brand manufacturer side of it, which I suppose is the same issue. But what's it like in Australia and also in a shop? Is it terrible?
Yes, like as I usually work on the weekends, we have so much dead stock of like products that no one has bought because I don't know, just like on the weekends, a lot of kids come in because that's
Of course,
when
yeah.
schools
Yeah.
are off. But during the week, it's just like absolutely dead.
And I'm assuming it was bigger. It was more popular a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah.
that's a big change that's now
At that
dead.
time, that was when I was traveling. And from what I remember of what I've been told, Max used to work at Scooter Hut before he started his own
yeah.
shop. And Billy Watts was working there too. They were telling me they were getting so many customers like on the weekend. Like
Yeah.
they used to have like 6 or 7 people on the weekend.
Yeah, that's mad.
But nowadays it's probably like 3 or 4.
And how many shops are still in Australia from Scooter? Because it's a franchise, right?
Are they
It's a lot of like bike/scooter stores.
Okay, yeah.
Like bike stores.
But
selling
Scooter Hut generally, how many shops have they got?
I would say there's Syndicate, TDG,
Mhm.
and then Scooter Hut, and then Kick Push is another massive one,
I've heard
just
of
like
Kick
Scooter
Push,
Hut,
yeah,
but they're
yeah.
mainly like online, like big in
Okay.
online.
Yeah.
I don't know about in-store. I don't know much about the in-store.
Mm-hmm.
Public Mayhem, which is
So
like a
there's,
skate
there's
shop.
still a handful of...
I would say 4 main ones.
Okay.
Okay. And
4 or 5 main ones.
And so what about skate parks then? Because we've also seen quite a few go under because, of course, well, I mean, as much as everyone else in the skate park likes to hate on scooters, it's because of scooters that indoor skate parks can even stay open
That's
anymore.
true, yep.
So because the downturn in the industry basically means there's a lack of kids buying scooters, it also means they're not riding them, and so some skate parks are closed down in
Mhm.
the UK.
That's unfortunate. Like, what
is
was
it-
it? Creation? No.
Creation still exists, but we've...
Flows,
Beast
Flows-
ramps, that's it.
Flows,
Beast ramps.
Beast
disappeared.
ramps, yeah, we've
Disappeared.
lost quite a few.
Flow's disappeared and come back quite a few times. I don't know.
Flow,
I don't know
no.
what
That's
the current-
Lewis's local, yeah?
It was one of his,
was,
like...
yeah.
local
He's moved up- he's
stores.
moved
I
up
went there
north now.
once. I was really hyped to go.
It's all right, yeah. But I mean, they've closed and open a lot of time. I don't know what their current status is, but anyway, there's a couple
Yeah.
that have gone down. What's it like in Australia? they all
So
surviving?
one of them, GC Compound, that was one of the biggest ones that
Taylor
people
Smith's
would.
park.
Yeah, Taylor Smith
My
was
man.
Yeah,
local.
that's what a lot of us would remember.
That closed down. It wasn't mainly because of declining of scooter riders, but it was mainly because it was a massive warehouse and the rent was really expensive.
Okay.
But obviously, their main customers were scooter riders.
Mhm.
But that happened like from what I remember, 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
So it was actually a while back.
Yeah, I remember that. And what happened with Monster? Was it like
Monster,
on fire or something?
Yeah,
the
there was a
vert ramp
fire.
was,
I
like,
don't know
on
the
fire.
exact story, but what I've been told was it was one of the workers who was welding one of the ramps, and the spark accidentally
Just triggered
hit the foam, and it just...
Oh, nightmare.
See ya.
And rest in peace, Monster. But what I've been told, they're not moving, sorry. So where it is, it's like a massive Olympic park from the Olympics. I believe they're moving next to a bigger shed because the outdoor bit is still there. Like,
Okay,
it hasn't been damaged. And it's just recently opened, actually. I saw on social media. Recently just opened, which is really cool. But all the other ramps that that didn't get burnt, and basically they moved to a different warehouse, to a smaller one, not in the Olympic Park.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still running. It's called Warehouse 11 or something, I believe. And that was like why Monster hasn't been around, which sucks.
Mad.
And so, what do you reckon it's going to be like in the future? Do you think it's picking up again from working in a shop in Australia? Because Scooter Hut's a big one to work
Scooter
for as
Hut's
well.
very
So
big
I'd say that's a pretty good like sensor for how it's going, right? So, is it still on the way down, or is it recovering?
It's really hard to say. I believe it's still going down from what I've been seeing on.
And we had a conversation
shop point
about
of view.
what you were selling mostly of, and it happened to be electric scooters.
Yeah,
right?
electric scooters, they're popping right now,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
It's a cool thing because they're good fun, but that's entirely a different market,
Of course.
right? This
Yeah, different market.
But he's
It's-
selling more of them completes than he would with whatever else completes.
Especially during the week,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's when adults come in.
Definitely.
And what do you think happened? Why has it just disappeared? The scooter industry.
I don't know. It's really hard to say.
I'm sure. We've been trying to put a finger on it for
I
over
think-
a year. So
I would say one of the main was online gaming, such as like Fortnite. That was definitely when that happened. That was a bit of a massive decline with scooter riders,
Definitely had
as
an
they
impact.
didn't go outdoor. They mainly stayed indoor. I would say that was probably definitely one of the main reasons.
Yep.
I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
We don't know neither.
Yeah, we
We're
don't
just
know
keen
either.
to get like your
Yeah.
opinion on it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, where we can't really put a finger on it either. I think the general consensus is probably that the exact age range of scooter riders, which as much as older riders, people like to pretend that scootering's a mature sport, it depends entirely on 10 to 15-year-olds.
Definitely.
So when something like Fortnite, I don't want to name drop it because I think that was a catalyst, but I don't think that was the only reason. But when something like that turns up and it takes 10 to 15-year-olds, like, in fact, this is a pretty weird thing in general with scooters. So like, you go to events have got bigger prize money now, and they're just bigger events in general. Scooter riding's getting better. Every pro rider's getting more and more followers.
Yep.
But there's no actual money anymore. So if you were to someone who attends events, you would not notice that it's gone down so much, right? Because you're seeing it from, there's now 40 grand up for grabs, or 20 grand, or the Worlds is now a bigger event. But actually, when you work on the other side of the fence, you can actually just see that the sales figures are down X million %, right? And
Mad.
And I think it's difficult for a lot of pro riders now, because a lot of pro riders are thinking like, I'm better than before, which is true. I'm putting in more effort than before, it's true. I've got more followers, everything. So why am I not getting paid loads of money, right? And that's understandable completely. But it's interesting for both of us, actually, to see it from a different side, because like we know that it's actually the worst it's been for a lot of years, even though it looks social media is bad for this in general, but it looks social media like it's bigger than ever. You got Ryan Williams doing bigger things than before, putting scooters on the map, Scootfest, Nitro World Games, everything, like it's all popping off. But actually it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's
totally agree.
It's
yeah.
so odd, because the 10 or 15-year-olds that you would like, that have changed the game basically by not buying scooters anymore and sitting and playing video games, or just giving up on scooters in general, they've had such a huge impact. And you would never really see any of them walking around or at the skate park, because a lot of them just ride scooters to school, right? But in fact, they're the ones that have made the biggest difference. And that's pretty frustrating, because you can't do anything about that. You just kind of got to sit and wait and hope for a new generation to turn up.
That's true.
It's not like people stopped doing events or stopped making new parts and then it dropped off. the event's getting bigger, more and more parts coming out. They're getting better and stronger, and like you were saying earlier, like street video parts still coming out, so we can't blame lack of video parts.
Instagram is popping up with all the Insta edits.
Yeah.
Tricks are becoming next level. The standard of riding is just completely different to what it was 2013, 2014.
Ridiculous, and we say all the time. I mean, we said about it in the previous episode, but like when we're judging events, we just watched this random kid I'd never heard of drop in and just drop something that would have changed the world 3 years ago. Even he's doing his first
and
trick.
we're judging, but we probably don't know what the name is, or they probably don't even have a name for the trick because it is literally
it's
like
literally just a
first.
unique
Crazy.
trick,
And that's just like something we see every time we're judging now. Like, it's
So
wild.
That's what I mean. So the standard's better. Everything that is a marker of success in scooters is bigger and better. Like more views, more exposure on Facebook, more whatever. Like Spanish TV broadcasting the whole scooter event, just shit like that. Like every marker is oh yeah, it's going well that, but it's just not.
And here we are with receding hairlines
And
and
no
just baggy eyes because we don't know what's going on.
I can say this positive side of it. In the Asian scene, especially like Japan, Singapore, even Korea, they're starting to pop up with riders. As one of my good mates, actually best mate, Sogo, he just recently created a brand himself, JP Scooters.
Yep.
Sick, I know that, yeah.
So yeah, he recently just started up his own company, and
That's
it's gone
mad.
pretty well. And
There you go, there's some hope for us.
yeah, he's becoming a big influence in the Japan scene, which is awesome.
And he's a brilliant guy.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never,
definitely.
I've never
Super
seen
nice
him
guy.
not hyped.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I don't think it's an eternally bad thing. I don't think we're doomed. I don't think it's going to disappear.
No.
But it's just strange to see it now, because you know when there was the first dip, maybe the start of 2018.
Yeah.
Everyone was just kind of sat there like, yeah, it'll be fine in a few months. Just a little dip, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then just continued, and it's like, oh, no, it's fine. Christmas will fix it. 2018, and then no one bought shit for Christmas, and then 2019 starts, and you go, well,
Shit the bed.
what do we do now?
Yep.
We're
Nightmare.
hoping 2019 Christmas.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're always
that's
hanging
the-
on
I'm-
to stuff.
yeah,
and like
I'm-
I said, we go to events and we're always optimistic, but it's
Yeah.
just behind the scenes.
I'm not super concerned about it. I mean, I think we're coming through it personally. I think there's going to be a new generation soon, and they're going to get back on it. But yeah, I think a lot of people have seen that the companies that turned up to make a lot of money or to make a quick buck or whatever, they gave up straight away at the start of the dip.
Yep.
So it means when we get through it, we're going to have only the companies that actually want to be in it,
Yeah.
and it's going to
care
be
about it.
a cleanse almost.
Yeah,
To try and draw the positives.
But yeah, talking of which, right, when did you actually start riding a scooter and why?
So I would say my first ever scooter I got was Christmas. It was, I believe, 2005, because I started in 2006.
Ooh, damn.
So it sounds about right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
started when I was 12.
Did you know that Danny didn't start riding until like 2010?
Really?
What a
He
noob.
got noob every time.
He was
Mind
17 when he picked up a
17, yeah.
Wow.
Late
I'm an
bloomer.
old bloke now, but
Didn't hit puberty
here I am.
till that late.
2010.
So you was in like 04, 05.
Oh, no, sorry, 05, 06.
05,
I would say
06.
06, because that's when I really...
So you was just a little ute, just mobbing
just a
around.
little kid,
and
just
How
riding
old,
around with
how
my
old would you have
mates.
been? Like 13? 10?
So I was in grade 6, so 12.
12.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, what scooter was it?
My first one ever was called a Cyclops, which is
Jeez.
funny because the people who distribute or owns it is actually the brand Triad and Oath.
No way.
So the owner, he's a big distributor of this toy company.
Yeah.
I believe it's called Hyper Extension, and basically when I went over there, because I usually do photography work
Sick.
with Triad and Oath, and they had Cyclops scooters, which was really cool because that was my first ever scooter.
That's dope.
And
I'm
then-
assuming foldable, right?
Yep, foldable. It
13
broke
wide bars.
in a few days, which I was so devo.
Yeah, but it's a
Nightmare.
pretty cool way for it to like circle back on itself, though. You started there and you turned up with this job doing some work for him, and you're like, oh, wait, it's
Yeah, I know. It's just
We
Yeah,
spoke about
maybe
this as
bring
well.
back Cyclops for 2020.
Mm.
Imagine.
It's
Just
happened to a lot of people. I think you kind of start off just like, for example, finding an eagle wheel and riding it, and then suddenly just driving to the factory because you want to. Like it's just it's weird how it just you end
full
up.
circle.
Yeah, no, it's a cool thing though.
Mm.
And do you reckon if somebody approached you now, some big sponsor approached you now and said, Tommy, I want to offer you exactly the same deal as FASSEN offered you. Would you go for it, or do you think you're over it now? Different brand. Let's say, I'm not going to name drop, but a different brand turns up and says the exact same deal as what was on FASSEN.
Yep.
Now, starting in 2020, January the 1st, would you go, nah, I'm over it? Or would you go, actually, I'm ready for it now?
I would say I'm a very picky rider with certain brands, as there's certain brands I really enjoy their products. So I would say, honestly, just like FASSEN, it's got to be the right one. Like, because at the time when I was trying to get after FASSEN, there was a lot of other brands that wanted me, and I declined them just simply because they just weren't the products I wanted to ride, or just the right brand for me. As with sponsorship, I treat it as a very
it's important though, right?
Yeah, it's very important. That's
and I think
treat it very important.
And again, it's another thing we've touched on. I think that's probably because you started at a similar time to me, before sponsorship was even a thing. So it was never even a seed in the mind that you were going to get sponsored. So it's not like you were never entitled to be sponsored, so it had to be something that felt right for you, right? Yeah, I think the same. And I think, like we were talking about, everyone that started since 2012 or whatever, they've seen world champions, they've seen sponsors everywhere. So it's different mentality. But I think it's important to have the stance you've got on it, because especially at this kind of age where you've got a lot more under your belt than just being a scooter rider. You can offer a company more than just riding a scooter, right? So you're not just going to jump on somebody for a few $100s a month.
That's right.
No, I like that. I back it.
Yeah. But honestly, I would most likely say no, just because as I'm older, I know that it's not going to be
long term.
Long term. It's not going to be my main income. That's why I want to really focus on my photography side. Yeah. As I want to pursue that career towards in the future, as I know that I'll be doing that in my late 30s.
Yeah, of course. We've always said, like, with scooters alone, it's important to just dabble with other stuff and have more assets than just be a scooter rider.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can offer more
to brands.
So it's sick that whilst being a rider, you're also learning how to take good photos, how to film, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's important.
That's very important. That's for sure. That's something I would love to educate kids, because I feel like nowadays, like with kids, they just, like when we were kids, we learned how to film because that was our thing, trying to put out videos, trying to get our name out there. So stuff like that. It's just nowadays with kids, social media, they can just film on the phone, which is very accessible, pretty straightforward, very easy. You just hold it and that's it.
That's what I mean though. These days you do get a lot of just sponsored scooter riders, and that is it. Like they're good on a scooter, but personality of a potato, like nothing else good about them. They just give someone a phone and like, okay, yeah, they're dead good and they're doing worlds first, that's sick. But because it's such a short-lived like career currently, like when they get into like, I don't know, mid-20s or like our age, at that point they've probably just spent the past 8 years just riding a scooter, so they're sort of fucked. Like
that is very true. I mean?
Because they haven't done like other things, and like that's just how it is. So that's good to hear that you picked up a camera.
It's cool. I think we're all in that same boat anyway. We've kind of accidentally done other things, and it's benefited us in scootering, and it's just like end up getting skills from scootering as like almost like a side project from scooters. We end up taking pictures of stuff, and suddenly we can take photos, and that's another avenue to explore at some point. And that's what scootering's good for. Like the community is that tight knit that whatever you start to do, if Tommy started becoming like a cinematographer tomorrow of scooter riders, everyone would back it, rather than like in like outside of scootering. Like if you're in secondary school, you start filming. Like you've got so many people just like, no, that's shit, mate. Oh, have you seen what Tommy's doing? Look how shit his videos are or something. Just people just being dicks. But in scooters, it's like, no, everyone just backs it, and that's sick.
It's
and
appreciated way more.
Yeah, and it's just good because you can kind of pick up a lot of skills from other scooter riders. It's just a nice community.
Oh, it's a beautiful community. I love it.
And I think that's what I like about scooters. You pretty much do what you want, and someone will support you in it.
And even though
no matter what,
side of the world, and here you are sat in my front room.
Yeah,
exactly.
Chilling.
Yeah, we can knock Instagram and social media, but that's exactly how we know Tommy.
So. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been mint. I'm glad we've had you on.
Thank you.
A great person to have as the first guest.
An honour to be on your podcast. Thank you, guys.
My G.
My man.
My guy.
Yeah, so conclusion number 2. If you've got any other people you want to see on the show, we'll call it a show.
Barely a show. We're just winging our way
if you
through
want
life.
Danny,
if you want to see someone in particular.
If you want Danny and me to talk shit with another rider, or industry guy or anybody, just let us know and we'll get it done.
More OG riders.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm off to refill this cuppa.
I think mine's empty.
Which, by the way,
oh no, there's still some.
this is the mug that Danny gave me. By the way,
that was his last year's present. He's really getting on that.
So yeah, cheers, Tommy. Cheers,
Thank
Dan.
you, guys.
I need a fat cuppa. Cheers, boys. See you in a bit.
Laters.